and welcome to Little Birdie's Monday Sports Show First Look. I am your host, Nikki Sylvester. First Look is proudly brought to you by Little Birdie TV, topsport.com.au, Punting Form and Manscaped, the best in men's grooming. In the studio with me today is MG, and we're going to go through the AFL Round 4 review, and we've also got Toprope to do the NRL Round 5 review. MG, how was your weekend?
Yeah, it's pretty long, wasn't it? We kicked off early on Thursday night. Our weekend started. Yep. Obviously, the Grand Prix been in Melbourne this weekend, going along with a few grand finals in the women's and all the footy and everything going on. So we kicked off Thursday night with our first Grand Prix party that we held just down the road, which you were the host and also the caterer and cleaned her up. What else did you do?
Everyone had a great night. It was so much fun. It was such a good time to be in Melbourne, and we had such a massive weekend that it was wonderful. Everyone had a ball.
Yeah, it was a good way to kick off. Bit dusty on Toprope and I on Friday morning. OB had to carry the show on Friday. Toprope was out socialising as well, but really good weekend. Enjoyed the party. We've had a few socials stuff go out, but we'll put a clip together so everyone can see it. I think that's locked in for a calendar each year on the calendar, I think, Nikki.
Toprope's going to book his flight down for next year. Toprope, how was your weekend, buddy?
Expensive, Nick. Really, really expensive. It was a lot of close losses, a lot of bad losses. It was not ideal, but we lived to fight another day, just recovering from Cam Smith's capitulation in the Masters, fresh off the presses there. But didn't enjoy the high-flying city life of a Grand Prix party catered by the great Chaconis, but did enjoy the Orange Cup Calcutta, all up the Orange Cup at the Parkview Hotel / Royal Orange.
Fantastic. The Calcutta. Amazing.
Do we find the winner, Toprope?
No, we didn't find the winner. Gary Portelli virtually declared one at the Calcutta that did not win. So,
we're going to have a chat to him.
It's been the theme of our week, I think. Close misses.
There's been a lot of declarations and not a lot of success.
Listen, if the only way is up, we're in April, okay? We've got a long way to go till September. We are on a trajectory.
Tell the bank managers that we had a couple of close shaves. Cam Smith, we got tipped up in the Masters for our first round.
I mean, the Masters, it's tough.
Double bogeyed the final hole. That was a bit costly, Toprope. It kind of set the scene for the next 4 days, unfortunately. But anyway, we will move on to...
We'll move on to the AFL
this week, yes.
All right, so we're going to get into it with the review of the AFL Round 4. We'll quickly go through the results here. So Port, they lost to Melbourne 36-68. Geelong beat Brisbane 80-70 down there in Geelong. Sydney beat the Kangaroos. This was a close one, 86-75. Don't think anyone thought that was going to come from the North Melbourne. Collingwood lost 74-87 to the West Coast Eagles, giving them their first win for the year. Richmond beat the Western Bulldogs 99-61. Freo beat GWS 88-54. And the Mighty Bombers, they beat Adelaide 103-99. Hawthorn lost 73-142 St Kilda. And Gold Coast, they beat Carlton 92-62. MG.
Yeah, it was, we were highlighting round 3 how good it was in the AFL. We had some cracking matches. Round 4, by and large, was pretty disappointing, to tell you the truth. We had some pretty ordinary football, some terrible kicking for goal. It's letting a few sides down, even though Luke Beveridge of the Bulldogs doesn't seem too fazed by it. Obviously, losing games by kicking poorly, it comes down to the coaching, I think. So I think it has to be a bit more importance on it. We had some shocking exploits for kicking on goal this year, and just as poorly with the umpires backing them up. Actually, we had a lot of social out there that the umpires have got off to a pretty ordinary start. I think over the 4 weeks we've tried to keep the powder dry on them and not talk too much about them. We understand you don't want to make the focus about the umpires. They're doing their best. It's a tough job to do, but a few games on the weekend just highlighted I think it's just too much for the umpires to do, and they're getting a rough end of the stick. But it's not good exposure for the game, in my opinion.
Not at all. I mean, just the few games that I was watching, you can really see how they make a call, and then straight away they're like, oh no, up we go. Let's review that. And it just, I don't know.
I think a lot of the times as well, they're missing a call, and if they make a mistake and then a player's, a bit up and out, and then they'll pay a 50 just to highlight it even worse. But yeah, there was a few teams that had an ordinary run. Brisbane won't want to put Geelong on the calendar anytime soon. I don't think the last 2 years they've gone down there. They've got the rough end of the stick. That last quarter, from different people that I've spoken to, was said probably one of the worst umpiring quarters they've seen in a long time. So the Sydney Kangaroos game was terrible. The Fremantle Giants, I know the counts are lopsided, but it's also what you don't pay and where you pay them, I think. What gets the supporters and the players a bit irate. So that was disappointing on that front. In terms of the games, I think, Melbourne have obviously gone to 4-0. They're clearly the best team in the comp now. They've shortened up in the Premiership, which we'll cover later. Yep. And they've put Port in a real hole at 0-4. Geelong got the job done in probably the match of the round in terms of standings. As you said, Sydney had a bit of a shock. Bad losses to Collingwood, Bulldogs, Giants going over to Freo. Essendon almost coughs up Adelaide, but they got a win on the board. So that was important for Essendon going forward. Hawthorn are probably where they're at. And one of the losses around was Carlton. They were very, very poor second half against the Suns. So, after a month, I don't think the pitch is much more clear than what we thought we were going into the start of the season. I think Melbourne are clear favourites, and I think Brisbane are the second pick at this stage. And then other than Geelong, the waters are muddy.
Sure. And obviously now we've got to decide what happens with Cripps and where that puts Carlton, because that was supposed to be an easy win. You would have thought they'll have this week should be easy. But without him, not sure where the midfield sits. And does that then change their season outlook? Everyone was saying top 4, definitely top 8. See how that goes. Obviously the big talk is the Bombers. We're going to make the 8, mate.
Oh, my God. You fell in over Adelaide. Let's not get too excited about
I'm
you.
excited.
Important win for you. But
I'm up and about.
You were a game you almost lost in the end. So Adelaide was streaming forward and poor kick by Keys going in.
Yes.
Okay, so for the week wrap-up, we had 5 out of 9 favourites win, only 3 covers, so it was definitely a bookmaker's weekend. As we highlighted, it's hard for totals to be going over at this stage with the amount of poor kicking and the negative game styles that we had on several games. So the unders are dominating home teams who are running about right, so you can see the season stats there at the moment. The favourites running about true, the covers are right on 50%, and the totals are pretty even as well. So not much to show after the first 4 weeks.
Thanks, MJ. We might just take a look at the round 4 AFL Sting results now. Okay, so we do have 2 losses there. 2 units bet on the Brisbane game and 2.5 units bet on the Collingwood West Coast game. Obviously that, I don't think that was your fault, that one at all.
No, it wasn't a good week. 0-2 on the back of a poor round 3, so down 10 units for the year. So I've got a lot of work to do after the first month, but Brisbane had their chances to win, just didn't get it done. As I said, poor last quarter from them, and the total dried up in the Collingwood West Coast in the last quarter. We were on target and just didn't get the job done. So
no, but you know what job you did get done on the weekend?
What's that?
You got that AFLW.
The AFLW, yeah.
The girls. Well, that was amazing.
Long time planning, something in the bank early, but geez, the weekend went downhill after that, unfortunately. So, congratulations to the Adelaide women. They were probably the best team all year.
What have they won? 3 out of 6 now.
Won 3 out of 6, on their home deck.
Dominant.
So it was I wouldn't say it was a great highlight or a spectacle for the women's game. It was not the best show put on for the females. So, but Adelaide got the job done. Unfortunately, Melbourne didn't get their premiership for Daisy Pearce, and it might be a short turnaround. I think their season may be back in August for next year, so it might be a short off season.
That'll be a huge spring. Melbourne's turning it on. We're just going to go August through to November. Melbourne's the place to be. Okay, we might just take a look at the AFL Premiership prices now. Have a look at any updates here. Obviously, Melbourne's shorted a little bit.
Yeah, so Melbourne, $4 I think last week into $3.50. So they're getting shortened up. But it's hard outside of Brisbane and maybe Geelong at this stage to be tipping anything else. I don't want to come into Geelong. I just don't think they'll be beating Melbourne at the business end. So I just think the top 2 are clear, and I think up and down. The Bulldogs at $12 obviously got their win on the board. Richmond keep hanging in there, and St Kilda have probably been the big movers from the week before. They're into $16. But Melbourne I'm sure are getting put into a lot of multis at this stage of the year, and at $3.50.
It's not bad for your multis.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but not not going to tip outside. Brisbane are going along okay. They had a tough loss against Geelong, but I think they'll bounce back this week. Thursday night against Collingwood.
Thursday night, they've got the home game, 7:35 at the Gabba. So approximate prices at the moment, head-to-head, Brisbane $1.23, Collingwood $4.35. The line's looking to be about 26.5. No totals yet because we are on Monday.
Yeah, so we've got two teams in the 8 at the moment. Brisbane sitting on second and Collingwood in 8th at the moment. Both coming off losses. Brisbane's loss was very credible going down at Geelong. It's not an easy ground, obviously, to win down there. So they'll be back on their home deck. As for Collingwood, I think they showed a bit of false pretense early in the first couple of weeks, really showing up against undermanned West Coast at home. Very disappointing. Got some injuries as well now. Yeah. Elliott's going to be a huge loss forward. They're short on offense options, and Adams being out of the midfield is going to be key if they don't get him back as well, matching up against Brisbane. So for me in this game, I think Brisbane have won 3 straight in the head-to-heads, and they've won 2 straight at the Gabba. So their recent form's pretty good. Back on their home deck. Collingwood have got a 5-day break, which is probably going to hurt them as well as the travel. Yep. And for me, Brisbane, the weather looks pretty good. I know it's going to be at night, but I think early, I think it lines 25 at a few and 26 I've seen it somewhere, but I think this will start. I think this will go into the 30s. I really think the money will come for Brisbane with the teams coming out on their home deck. I don't think Collingwood are that good.
No.
So I'm a bit of a strong push for Brisbane at this stage at the minus 25.5.
Perfect. Okay. Now, punters, if you are serious about your AFL punting, head to Little Birdie TV live shop and you can get AFL stings for $22 a week. He tipped the AFLW winners in round 4. He's on Brisbane this year. We're only on the way up. AFL stings, $22 a week. You can get it. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back with Toprope and NRL round 5. Welcome back to First Look, proudly brought to you by topsport.com.au. Family owned and operated for over 35 years. Bet with a bookie you can trust. Bet with TopSport. Now we're going to take a look at the NRL Round 5 review. I'd like to welcome in Toprope. I'll quickly go through these results for you and then we'll have a chat. Newcastle lost 6-30 Manly. The Warriors beat North Queensland 25-24. The Broncos lost to the Roosters 20-24. Canberra lost to the Melbourne Storm 16-30. South Sydney beat St George 24-12. The Gold Coast lost 20-26 to Parramatta. Cronulla beat the West Tigers 30-4, and the Bulldogs lost to Penrith 12-32. Toprope, what do you make of this week, mate?
It was a weekend of abhorrent bunker decisions, and one of the great rorts that has never been discussed that you'll ever see. Let's start with the rorts. The betting on the Storm Raiders game went from Storm minus kind of 12.5, 13.5 to 14.5. They led 30-14 with no time left on the clock. The Raiders challenged something, won a decision, and it's something I've never seen before. Decided to take the 2, so they covered the late line there. So one of these sickest beats if you're on the Storm minus 14.5. My condolences go out to those on that one. Look, it was really the bunker that had a massive impact over the weekend. We saw some really inconsistent calls around head-high shots, sim bins, around the Shepherd play, and kind of really capped off by one of the more ridiculous decisions when the Rabbitohs, the game that had no real bearing on the match, were disallowed a try from Cameron Murray because a player with his back turned to the play was deemed to have been interfered with. So that shows you the level of confidence we've got going in the bunker there. So I know you complained about the AFL refereeing, and it's certainly no better in the NRL at the moment. Newcastle were dreadfully disappointed to kick off the season, to kick off the weekend. They were big favourites after Preveiw, which was ruled out, and they got absolutely flogged in the end. We saw a couple of close games on Friday night. The Warriors winning in Golden Point over the Cowboys. Sean Johnson, the hero. The Warriors are now on 3 on the trot. Haven't beaten a lot, Matt, but they're certainly getting the job done. They've moved into the 8. The Broncos back on home turf, much better. Led the Roosters for a lot of that game as big underdogs there. So they ended up going down, but it was a pretty dogged performance there from Brisbane. They've probably played better with Billy Walters at 5'8", rather than what we've seen with Albert Kelly there. Souths and St George Illawarra. South's got away with the big news there. That one, Latrell Mitchell has hurt his hamstring. Looks like he'll be out a month there. So I'm cautious about taking the Rabbitohs as big favourites against the Bulldogs this week. Para won 26-20 against the Titans, but for minus 6.5 punters, it was a cruel beat. Up 20-0, absolutely cruising. Ended up winning 26-20 there. And Sunday was a real nothing day of footy, 30-4. Cronulla beat the West Tigers. The West Tigers should honestly have been beaten by 60. They were absolutely one of the worst performances you've ever seen. Honestly, the lack of effort out there was, I don't recall even seeing bad teams try as little as the Tigers tried yesterday. They were letting balls just go to the sideline, no effort to tackle players running. It was appalling. And the Dogs, they played pretty dog with Kyle Flanagan making his return to the NRL. That was the big news story out of the Bulldogs all week. He played pretty well in a well-beaten side. Penrith just too much class there.
We might have a quick look at the Week 5 results as well. So 7 out of 8 faves covered. We've got 4 out of 8 covers, 6 out of 8 for the over totals and 3 out of 8 for the home teams. And if we have a quick look to the season, so the faves are sitting at 70%, covers 45%, overs, the total 38%, and the home teams at 60%. Anything shock you there? Not really, mate.
It's just the amount of favourites that kind of just missed a cover or got the cover by kind of a half point, 1 point. We saw the Warriors jump 1.5 point favourites. They get the field goal to win by 1. The Storm Raiders game kind of went down to whatever line you got. The Rabbitohs jumped 10.5 point favourites, won by 12. Eagles jumped 6.5 point favourites, won by 6. And the Panthers jumped either 19.5 point favourites, 20.5 point favourites, depending on what line you got. And won by 20. So, some real close calls and big sweats there for punters over the weekend.
Okay, and if we have a look at Toprope's round 5 results, so we got 2. That's not too bad. 2 out of 6. We're doing okay. What are we at? 12 and 18 for the season, so that's not too bad. There was 13.75 units bet, minus 10.7 in a loss, so we're sitting at negative 14.17 for the year to date.
Yeah, we were chopping up through the first 4 games and probably a little unlucky not to get the Parramatta one, but the big one was the Bulldogs scoring points there. They looked a moral under 12.5 points, and they got gifted a try off a drop bomb in the first half, and scored a pretty good try in the second half, and finally slotted one from the sideline. So just another culmination of another weekend with great results.
Now we're going to go to Thursday night's game. So we've got Canberra are taking on North Queensland at GIO Stadium in Canberra at 7:50 p.m. on Thursday night. Approximate betting prices at the moment, Canberra $1.56, North Queensland $2.45. The line looks to be about 4.5, and obviously no totals yet because we are on a Monday. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, first inclination is this is not a great betting game. The Raiders normally aren't great as a favourite. Cowboys travel really, really poorly. I'll probably be on the Raiders. I do think they've got probably a little bit more scope for some upside there. Jack Whiten's playing pretty good football this year, and they really dug deep against the Storm in the second half. So, they've got some defensive failings. I'm not sure the Cowboys are the team to take advantage of those. So, probably a lean towards the Raiders at this stage.
And if we just go the NRL women's, the Chookies won.
The Chookies were outstanding. That was a second come from behind victory. They finished the season 2 and 3. Very lucky to get into the grand final. Were absolutely outstanding in the second half. It was a really good win. George had plenty of opportunities to extend their lead after scoring the first minute. Couldn't get it done. Some resilient defence, and then it was just a really strong performance on the Roosters. Their centres were outstanding, Isabel Kelly and Jess Surgis, and it was just a really dogged performance there. So, well done to the Roosters. They're the first premiers outside the Brisbane Broncos in NRLW, and they will get a chance to repeat later in the year because this is the first of 2 NRLW competitions this year, making up for last year's lost season.
So now we are going to go to the NRL Premiership markets. So what do we got? We've got the Panthers sitting at 350 and the Storm at 440. Anything take your fancy here? Are you still? What about the Roosters at 7? I don't think there's been much change here. Toprope.
Yeah, I think the Roosters are kind of fine where they are. I think that you could bet them and be reasonably happy with that price. the Sharks are the team that have really, really impressed over the first kind of 5 weeks, particularly since Craig Fitzgibbon after he missed the first game was back with the side for the last one. They were pretty ordinary yesterday, and they won 34 exercises. And that's what good teams do. You can't be up, you can't be on song the entire time. They still won by 26. So, well done to the Sharks. And I think they are probably they've certainly elevated themselves into that probably Parramatta, South, Manly tier, the level kind of below Melbourne and Penrith, and they've got the scope and the upside there to probably jump into that tier. So playing some really, really good football at the moment, and I think you could do worse than that $9.50. I think they will shorten up as the year goes on.
And especially if they happen to upset the Storm on Saturday night. I'm going to the game, so I'll cheer them home for you.
Oh, very, very good. I'm sure you and Cranberry will love going to Amy Park and death throating the Storm. I do recall it was a regular of your husband's there, Nick.
Well, we don't. How many more teams can you see in Melbourne? You got to come. But I thought this would be a great game, and I think it'll be a great game on Saturday night between these two teams. And I think if Cronulla are competitive, I think that's really going to surprise a couple of teams as to where they're going to go for this season. And I think they can. I mean, I'm not saying they'll win, but I think it'll be quite close.
I agree with you, Nick. I think with particularly with Dale Finucane and Nico Hines and those ex-Storm players coming back to tackle Melbourne, I think there'll be plenty of respect on each side. I kind of see a real defensive battle there. So you could certainly do worse than jump on the Sharks at the big plus. That's for sure.
All right, punters, if you are serious about your NRL punting, head to Little Birdie TV. In the Little Birdie shop, you can find GGOA from $22 a week. Serious about the NRL? You need GGOA. All right, MG.
Okay, Nikki, time to go to our charity bets for this week. Yes. We'll just quickly check on last week's results.
You got the job done. Held up the team. 1 out of 3 we went. So, unfortunately, your switch to the NRL didn't pay off for you. Missing with the Chooks. The Knights weren't close for the Toprope. He's lost 2 in a row now. He's coming back to the pack. He's allowed me to catch up. Very kind there, Toprope. The Demons covered early, so I was able to sit back and enjoy the rest of the weekend. Okay, what do we got for this week? The important week 6 we've got coming up. Nikki, what have you got for us for Sids and Kids this week? Yep, I'm going to cheer this one home from Amy Park. So I'm going Cronulla at the plus 8.5.
Plus 8.5, sticking with NRL. Interesting. You'll be coming back to AFL next week. Fancy betting against the Storm. I don't know, Toprope.
I'll tell you what I am going to do the next week.
What?
You watch. Be on the Bombers.
She's forecasting now. She's 2 weeks ahead. Toprope, what have you got for Wayside Chapel this week?
We jumped in early last week. We waited until Easter Monday afternoon this week. Parramatta against the West Tigers, the Eels minus 19.5. That'll jump significantly more than 19.5. I think they'll jump 24.5 north of that. So take the line and hopefully they'll cover it.
Okay, there's an early sideways tip there for Toprope. Get on Para early for your multis. You got to wait till Monday, but get him in. Have a cheer on the Monday. For Love Me, Love You for myself, I am going to go Brisbane. While you wait till Monday, I'll get in early there, Toprope. So I'm going to stick with Brisbane against Collingwood, minus 25.5. I'm a bit like Toprope. I think the early line here on Brisbane, I think it'll start the 3 in front of it. It'll be minus 30 upwards. So Lions for me, Nikki.
All right. Now, that is a wrap for this week on First Look. Thanks to MG and Toprope. Follow us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure you download our podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. Follow Little Birdie TV on all your socials, Insta and Twitter. Remember, all your footy betting action is at topsport.com.au. Don't forget to tune in on Friday when OB hosts the boys. And that's a wrap. Happy punting.